This is OSNG, Old School Next Generation. We're a dad and two sons who grew up in the woods and learned to hunt the old way. This show isn't about telling you how to hunt. It's about the stories, the screw-ups, the lessons you only learn the hard way, and the memories you don't want to lose. None of it exists without my dad. He taught us how to hunt, how to act, and when to shut up and pay attention. OSNG isn't a podcast. It's who we are. We're all freaks. And this is Old School Next Generation.
If you've hunted long enough, you've blamed everything but yourself. It was too windy. It was too warm. Too cold. Wrong moon. Wrong pressure. Wrong socks. I've personally blamed a full moon for at least 3 blown hunts and 1 bad attitude. Jamie's blamed the October lull. Jaden's blamed the wind, the thermals, camo. One time I even think he blamed gravity. The truth is, deer hunting might be the only sport where a grown man will drive 3 hours, climb into a tree in the dark, sit completely still for 6 or even 12 hours, see absolutely nothing, and then confidently explain why it's not his fault. Tonight we're going to do something dangerous. We're talking deer hunting myths. Does the moon phase actually matter? Can deer see colors? Does the barometric pressure flip some magical big buck switch? Are scent sprays saving you or just saving the scent companies? Each myth goes on the table. We each vote true, false, or depends. Then we argue like no cameras are rolling, and by the end of the night, someone's ego is getting bruised. Might be Jamie's, might be Jaden's, might be mine. We'll just have to see. This is OSNG. Let's bust some myths. I'm Clark. This is Jamie. This is Jaden. We've talked a little bit about this, and in our first episode, we talked about what would Leroy say. Okay, when we talked about peeing out of a stand, and we're going to kind of go along those same lines tonight. We all had differing views on that. My dad was absolutely against it. You're still of that mindset. You and I, the last couple of years, have just let it rain. Okay, so to speak.
Chance of precipitation
is 100% when I'm in the tree.
Taking a leak, buddy.
Okay. I don't think it really makes a big difference. And we're going to talk about those kinds of things tonight. And we're going to start off with moon phase. I think that's one of the most controversial subjects. The red moon, the feeding moon, when you are going to see those deer in a transition area, when they're going to be on their feet feeding, when they're going to be bedded down. I think moon phase affects them. I have felt like over the years that I've paid attention to that moon phase and that lunar calendar, that it seems like when the deer are supposed to be up according to those moon phases, they are. So I go with yes on that one.
I lean towards yes. I think you can keep it a part of your game plan. It's not end all be all, though. We've had different times throughout the last few years. Typically we have a football game. It seems like during the hunter's moon, we don't get much on camera. That's supposed to be the kickoff, and everything revolves around it. And from then on, it's on like Donkey Kong. And I don't always see that, but I do see a major difference when paying attention to, is it a full moon? Is it a new moon? How much moon is there based on nighttime?
All right. Hold on to that. Don't get too deep into it. I'm a yes. You're a yes. You are
on the fence, but leaning towards yes. Like what I was going to go off with him is when you see a full moon and it's clear, there's going to be light. I would almost go in midday. When there's a new moon and it's cloudy, it's dark, I'll go in first thing in the morning. Okay. It just depends. There's like moon calendars and there's underfoot.
Right, yeah. Overhead. And that's what I was talking about.
There's been times where, because I've used it, and I use it more often than I would. For someone that doesn't quite believe it, I use it quite often. But there's been times
not completely sold on it.
No, but I use it.
Okay.
And it'll say major time 3:15 to 5:15. Mm-hmm. And 3:16 rolls around, you start seeing deer, which is amazing.
You start seeing that, it makes you a believer.
But then there's days where it's major time 4:15.
Okay, are you just in the wrong spot?
Could be. Could be, but I mean,
and that's what I was thinking was that moon phase overhead underfoot. But you guys make a good point with the full moon. Everybody's got a full moon ruin my hunt story. That's why I led off with that. It just makes sense if it's a nocturnal animal and they have decent light all night long. They're going to run crazy.
That they feel safe enough moving in. They'll move all night and then bed all morning.
Well, I'll take the dog out at night, and if I plan on going out in the morning, I'll check the field from the yard. And if I can see the road, there's no reason to get up, in my opinion, because they're going to move all night, and they're going to be in there before. I mean,
you're better off sleeping in and getting out there at 11.
Yeah. I've done it. Like, we've talked about going out the next morning, and I'll look out there and be like, I don't think it's worth my time.
Well, 2 years ago, I was still in AmeriCorps. I didn't have to go to work that day for some reason. We had football practice at 3 o'clock, and it was 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I go, you know what? I'm going to go sit. Why not? I have a few hours. I don't have anything to do. I saw 13 deer that late morning into afternoon, midday, and it was.
But that probably has to do with the time of year too, doesn't it? Do you remember when it was?
Mid to late October. It was still regular season.
Oh, it was the October lull. We'll get to that in a second.
But I don't remember if it was a new moon or if it was a full moon or not. But I've never seen so much broad daylight movement if it wasn't the rut.
Okay. If the moon, the data, the research says moon phase doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what it says. It has found no significant changes depending on the moon phase in deer behavior.
I wouldn't say more times than not that the major times turn it on. But when you've had a few of them where it's like, man, this is slow, and then that major time hits and you start seeing deer, you're like,
you automatically correlate that. Yeah.
What in the world?
Well, that's why.
And so I've had things where I'm like, okay, this might be legit, but then there's times where it's not, but then there's other variables that also.
Well, and that's where I say, well, we're just in the wrong place. And I go back to, and we posted this a couple of weeks ago, when I did my rutcation this year, there were times when I wanted to be in earlier than I was. The moon phase and that underfoot said, this is the major movement time. And if I wasn't in the tree before that major time, inevitably I ran into a good buck going in. And I've done it multiple times. And when you go, okay, the major time is 1:15, I need to be in the stand by 12:45. And something happens and you're running late and you're walking in at 1:10 and bam, there's a target buck moving at 1:10.
Well, you know why the target buck is there? Because you're running behind.
Wow, now we're really getting into the.
I'll do you one better.
That's how it feels.
If you need to see a deer,
stand up and take a look.
Yeah. Okay, Leroy.
Leroyisms.
But I mean, I had that happen twice this year, and the year before last, Vader. Okay, I knew I needed to be in that day. Didn't get in there. I'm 100 yards away. The camera goes off, and there he is, right where I was going. I was behind what the major time was. When you have enough instances like that happen, you become a believer. Now, are those more memorable than the times when, well, it says major time is at 2:35, and I haven't seen anything, and it's 4:30. Yeah, you don't remember those quite as well. But then you go, or at least in my mind, I say, well, am I just in the wrong spot today? Are they moving on that side of the woods? Yeah. So I'm a yes. I think I am a yes completely.
If I had to go with yes or no, I'm going to go with no. I haven't witnessed enough proof. There's been times where I'm like, that's kind of cool. But I don't think I've experienced it enough to say, yes, that matters.
And you're a yes.
Yeah, I'm probably a yes. I watch your stuff. I've seen those things because you missed one that you missed out on, kind of the same thing behind my house. And when you see that evidence over and over, and then you match it with personal experience and you listen to other guys talk about it, it just makes too much sense for it to just be happenstance over and over and over again. I don't believe in coincidences. So when you see that, play out multiple times, how do you not go with it?
And there are a lot of really, really successful hunters that will absolutely swear by it. And they will plan their hunts. They will plan the time and the stands that they're going to by that moon phase.
I mean, those are the kinds of people that have hunted their property for so long, they know what moon phase works on their property.
Well, and here's the question. Have we ever been burnt by it?
How would you know?
I know, but like, is anything like, so we know, hey, it's helped a couple of times, or it should have worked a couple of times.
And it was my fault that it didn't happen.
Yeah, but have we ever been burnt by a moon phase?
Not that I'm
aware
aware
like
of.
a trail cam photo of a buck coming in after a full moon at 8 o'clock.
That's something I've thought
Not
about.
that I'm aware of.
That's something I've thought about. I'd like to start, like, if we are trying to pattern a buck that we have and he daylights and we're not in there. I usually forget because I've thought about it. I want to see what the moon phase is that day when he's in there.
I've got a plan for that for the coming season. That may be a whole episode. I've got an idea.
Okay.
Sounds extensive.
It is.
He's going to be that meme where his hair is like this big and he's talking like that and he's got all the arrows.
Well, to be fair, you did that with Vader. You had every...
Not Vader.
Yeah, it was Vader, barometric pressure.
No.
Yeah,
I did that
and
with a lot of
we'll
bucks.
get to that in a little bit,
All right,
but still.
A brief, here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to make of our hunting ground an overhead, a satellite image of every one of our hunting grounds that we have cameras on, that we run cameras on for every day of the season. Okay, 90 during hunting season, 100.
75.
And then according to the cameras, you can write on that day what the weather was, what the wind was, what the pressure was, what the deer movement was. And then you just fill it in each day as you go. If you do it day by day by day, it's not as encumbersome as you try to do 3 months at one time, which is what I've done in the past. Mm-hmm. So that's my idea moving forward for this year is I want to do this. And then at the end of the day, just go, okay, this is where this buck was on this day with this pressure. And then you can look back and you can start seeing those patterns. So that's my plan for this year, just, in an overhead view. All right. October lull. Okay.
Yes.
You're a yes?
I hate it.
Absolutely not.
It's a waste of time.
Nope.
I'm a no.
Congratulations.
I'm a depends. Nope. Okay? I'm a depends. You're a yes. The October lull is real. You're a no. I'm a depends. I don't know that there is an October lull. Deer don't just magically disappear for 2 or 3 weeks in October.
Just because they're not there doesn't mean they're not moving.
They're somewhere.
You have to.
They've got to eat. They've got to drink. They've got to socialize. Deer are a social animal. They're still doing that. They're just not doing it where you are. Why do you think that it's a real thing?
Because over the years, we've seen, and I'm not talking over the last couple of years, I'm going way back, to when you and Pawpaw would hunt. Mm-hmm. Those late October.
And Dad was a firm believer in the lull.
I mean, you could waste the last 2 weeks and not change a single thing. Your conditions would be fairly similar, if not better, as October went on, and you would see less deer. We get less trail cam pictures during the lull.
I didn't notice a lull this year. I don't remember going outside of Tall Boy, not maybe, but everywhere else, fine.
Okay, so Tall Boy's a decent example. Lot early, disappears and comes back, and then disappears again and comes back with a broken rack.
One buck that wasn't on our property, but no other lull everywhere else. I don't buy it. Like, he just wasn't there for that time. He chose not to be there on our cameras anymore, and then he came back. But I didn't notice one at our other properties.
So your view is that, yes, because of personal experience, the lull is real.
Yeah.
Deer disappear mid-October.
I don't know if I'd call it disappearing, but it makes hunting a hell of a lot harder.
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying like they just vanish into thin air. Like, obviously they're somewhere else, but for whatever reason, across multiple different properties, across almost 2 decades at this point, it's there. And it's noticeable sometimes. Sometimes it's not as bad. This year might not have been as bad. I'm not saying historically you're going to go, these 2 weeks suck. But there is, to me, it seems like a downfall towards that 3rd week of October, right before that pre-rut kicks in. And that could be them storing energy, laying low. You don't have to move as much at that point. They could be getting more fired up and branching out. There's a bunch of different things to it. But it does seem to me, at least, that those 2 weeks suck. And then they pick up after, Halloween.
I didn't necessarily see Tall Boy whenever I was hunting him mid to late October.
I'm talking
But-
all deer in general. I know. I said tall boy.
I know. What I'm just saying is, whenever I never stopped hunting. Like, just because tall boy wasn't out there on camera didn't mean that I wasn't gonna go sit for him. I set up around water more this year, mid to late October, than I have prior, and I had a lot of movement at all times.
Okay.
But how many of them were good bucks?
I mean, the only buck that we were after in that place was him this year, so there wasn't many good bucks to begin with. But what I'm saying is, I have had seasons at that time period where it's like, yeah, this does suck. But then I moved to, okay, I'm going to sit over water instead of just, I always focused on the beans or corn or something like that. It's all I've always looked at. Corn and wheat late season, beans and corn early. Like, I decided to start sitting near water sources during that time period, and I noticed an increase in seeing deer.
So if that's the case, why was Waterhole dry as soon as September ended?
Because there's more area. There is more areas of water. I mean, in that
There's
area,
not a ton up there, though. You've got the dry pond, which depends on rainfall, but the Waterhole is the best source of water for over a quarter mile.
and that could be another thing where it could be food source. We had beans with the water. They may have moved somewhere with corn and water.
And I'm just sitting here, I'm smiling because I think you're both right. And that's where I say it depends. I think it depends on a lot of things. I think that, yes, it's true that sometimes you see less deer from, the 10th of October to like the 24th, 25th. I think there are years and times when you don't see as big of a drop-off, but I think there are reasons for all of that. First, I think that first week you still see deer in a summer pattern, especially those mature bucks that you've watched all summer. They've not changed that location and that pattern, so you know where they're at. I think the lull is when they start to change into those rut patterns, so they move where they're going. Okay, so I think that's the first depends. The second is the weather. You guys talked about the water hole, okay? There are other water sources that aren't that far away. I can think of 3 within a quarter mile, and that one is, well, actually, I can think of 4 within a quarter mile, and that is the third smallest, most shallow one. So in a dry, hot fall, dry, hot October, that one's going to get nasty earlier than at least 3 of the others that are within 400 yards. I think that they move toward those more than that water hole, because really what that is a low spot in the woods that traps water.
I'll tell you this, we had a pretty wet summer, and then boom, dry. It went from, like a spring.
I don't remember that football season.
A long spring. I mean, June was 70 degrees and rainy.
That's why a lot of people say that this was a great big buck year, because we were so heavy with rain up until July, so our crops produced very well. So while they were growing antlers, they had great nutrition, and then it just shut off.
But that's what I was going to say, was it wasn't a consistent, we had a rain here and there. It was rain, and then boom, nothing. And that's when October rolls around, when you went 2 or 3 months with no rain in this area, what's going to happen? It's going to go away, because the humidity, the heat, all that's going to it's going to evaporate, and they're going to go to different sources.
I want to go back to what you said. You said if they're going off their summer patterns to their fall patterns, which is absolutely a thing, will not deny that. But it slows down. Is that not a lull? It might not be that they're...
I'm not saying that they slowed down. I'm just saying...
I'm saying, like, hunting. Not necessarily the deer. Like, what you're seeing. You go from... You see the summer pattern. You've got them kind of picked out. And then as they transition into the next season, it's...
I see what you're saying. But that doesn't mean that they're not there or that they're not moving somewhere. They're just not moving where you think they would be.
Or where what trail your camera's on.
Because it changes. Now, here's the third thing, and I do think that this kind of does feed into a lull. I think that mature bucks know what's coming. They have
an internal clock.
They have gorged themselves to grow the antlers, to put on the weight. They know that rut is coming, and they are packing on the calories and the pounds, kind of like I do, except I don't have a rut coming.
You ain't rutted for a while,
but they're going to be running for a month. So I think that there is a time where those big bucks, those mature bucks that know that for the next month they're going to be running 24/7, they pull back into that core. They may change their core area, but I think they bed, they eat, they drink within a smaller area. Doesn't mean they're not moving, just means they're not moving as far, and they're resting up for that rut. That's what I
when
believe.
I get like I didn't hunt our Jefferson spot at all early. I waited till the rut for that because our other spot that's very close to home, I feel like there's a lot more water in the area that we can hunt access to, bedding, and we had good early season beans. So I focus more on early season lull there, I guess you could call it, your October lull, because there was food, water, and bedding all in the same area. I feel like if they were to go somewhere, they're going to go somewhere where they're find all that stuff within 200 yards. Like they do when they lock down.
Core area is smaller. So
I don't think they leave.
Does that mean you see less? Yeah, it could, but it doesn't mean they're moving any less. They're still up on their feet the same amount of time, just the area they're within is smaller. Now, I will say this, and I think that, you talked about this, and my dad, Leroy, we didn't hunt until mid-October. We just didn't do it. He didn't think it was worth it. And I think there's some validity to that because you can burn a stand out early by over-hunting it in October. Now, and where I go back to it depends a lot on the weather. Okay? I've killed 2 really good bucks on October 3rd and October 15th. The October 3rd buck was a 48, 49, 50-degree drizzly day.
It was disgusting.
It was a nasty day. Okay? That was a late October, early November weather day on October 3rd. The other one on October 15th was it was a 3-year-old who hit that rut a little early, checking scrapes earlier than he probably should have.
Good
the high
buck.
School one? Yeah. That was my senior year. Is 135. That's beautiful 8-pointer. Right? Yes, yeah, with the white T-shirt in 1990. Yeah. That was a 3-year-old.
Cheeseburger looked like.
Huh?
No, he looked like you.
Yeah. Looked like Jace. But I've got 2 good bucks from mid-October early, but I've hunted for 42 years, and those are the only 2 deer I've ever killed that early in October. But that was because I think of the weather, the environment. So that's why I'm a depends. So you're a yes, you're a no, I'm a depends on the October lull. And you can only really go, the data shows, no, there's not.
It depends on what
Shows
property.
the data.
It depends on what you have access to at your property.
Yeah.
But
If you have the bedding, if you have the water, if you have the food, they're going to be there. They're not leaving. They just may not be traveling as far across your property as they were prior.
And that's why I went back and said, it's why I think the lull is seeing less, not that they're not moving, less.
Okay, but that's where I go back to you're just not in the right spot.
I know, but you might not be able to hunt the right spot.
True.
But that's what I'm saying is when the people that think the lull exists, no, I think it's because their property doesn't have what those deer want / need at that time of year.
And then that gets into the whole other topic of if you have the ability and you have the property, create that environment that brings those bucks in during October. And you can kind of overcome that lull. We're not in that position, but a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And habitat and habitat management is a huge part of deer hunting now with bedding areas, transition areas, food plots. That's a whole other subject, that we can talk about another time that I wish we could do more of, but it is what it is. All right. October lull. Yes, no, depends. All right. Next thing. Is the barometer that magic key? Does barometric pressure signal and kick off deer and big buck movement? We'll go to you first.
Yep.
You're a yes.
Yep.
It's a tool. Use it.
You're a tool?
Yeah.
It's about time you admitted it.
Dude, it's a whole tool belt down here. But
lots of tools going around.
It's a tool just like I think the moon phase is. I don't think moon phase is end all be all. I don't think barometric pressure is end all be all. Because number one, we haven't used it a ton. I don't have as much information on barometric pressure as I do moon phase.
You need to get Spartan Forge. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
But we've dabbled in it. We've looked at it. I do believe Vader we had down to a T. And I think that speaks for a lot of things. I mean, it made me a believer. But at the same time, it also shouldn't be, well, hey, it's going to be under 31 this weekend, buddy. We're all day. You know, it's just another tool. But
it's not the under 30. It's not the over 29 or 30 plus. It's the constant rise of the air pressure. It doesn't matter. It could go from 26 to 29, or it could go from 29 to 32. It doesn't matter. It's that constant rise that you have. That's what you want to hunt. It doesn't matter what the air pressure number is. It's the constant rise.
If that's the case, then why did Vader always come through at 29? Because we couldn't believe it. Every time he'd pop up, we'd check Tacticam, and it would go into the analytics, and it was 29.
Okay, but it was 29. But had it been 28 on its way up,
we just started.
But that's the thing is, as we've gotten more into the air pressure, the more we see is it doesn't matter what the numbers are going to be. Is it going to rise or is it going to go down?
Okay, so what I hear, you're a yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. You are depends.
Yeah, like I said with the moon phase, I believe in it, but I think it's a tool for you to use more so than hard science, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, I am a absolute firm believer. Like if I'm looking at Spartan Forge for first week in November and I see November 4th and 5th, it's constantly rising, I'm going to be sick at work. I'm going.
It could be a Wednesday in October.
Don't tell your secrets.
It's just a new thing called buck fever.
It depends on the moon phase. I am an absolute yes on barometric pressure.
What deer have you killed on barometric pressure? That you know. I don't know what Vader was the day you killed him.
I don't know, but I know I see more. There's more activity when it's rising.
Especially mature movement.
When it's rising. Now, I think that there's a cap on that because I've thought, well, the higher the pressure, the better. I don't think that's necessarily the case because you get those clear sky, bright bluebird days. I don't think that's necessarily the good thing. I think the difference is when it goes from a low pressure up. When you're on, especially when it first starts up, you need to be in the woods. I believe in that as much as I believe in being in the woods right after the rain ends. When that barometric pressure starts rising, I believe the deer get up and on their feet. And I am an unequivocal yes on that. And it's just over the last couple of years. And you mentioned Spartan Forge. You were an early adopter on Spartan Forge. You talked about it.
I mean,
I've used it the last 2 years, and that is I look at wind direction, I look at temperature, and I look at barometric pressure and its trend. And when I see that trend moving up, I want to be in the stand during that time. And that's been something that over the last couple of years I've paid more and more attention to.
Well, I got you on Seek 1. That's where I got it from.
Yeah.
He used it. I saw constant ads, and I was like, I'm kind of getting the gist of what this is. I'll look at it. And I made an account and all that, and I looked at it. I was like a kid in a candy store.
Well, the first thing I liked was the
information.
I liked the forecast.
Yes,
it was a very detailed hour by hour forecast. I liked the wind forecast because it had a map with it, and it would look at where that wind was coming from.
I don't use my weather app for wind anymore.
I don't either. Not during the season. I use Spartan Forge, and then I started paying attention to that barometric pressure. And buddy, I'm telling you, when it's going up, that's when I've seen the most deer the last couple of years. And I am probably more of a believer in that than I am with any other, even wind direction. I think I'm more of a believer in the barometric pressure than I am wind direction. Yeah. You were looking at me like...
Well, it was something we kind of talked about last night, which is that on there? Do I need to wait to talk about that? The wind direction and just wind?
We'll talk about it at some point,
yeah.
I was just out of the game.
Okay, that's interesting. You really hadn't hunted a lot the last couple of years since you and I started looking at that more.
It's kind of like...
That's something I would encourage you this coming year, keep an eye on. Look at that. What I've seen the last 2 years, I'm a believer.
You need to experiment a little bit. You need to get out of your... you need to get out of your little box of what you believe in and kind of use those things, but also try different things as well and see what works, because it helps. Promise.
The rising barometer. Absolutely.
I may have not gotten a mature deer this year, which I blew my shot on. I saw more mature movement this year than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
I saw more bigger bucks move than I can recall.
All right, let's move into that wind part. We just mentioned it just a second ago, and I want to start here. Do deer move when it's windy?
Are you pointing to?
We'll start you first, because we went 2 with him first, now 2 with you first. Do deer move when it's windy?
What do you consider windy?
15 miles an hour to up.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because I'm not because whenever I go whenever I can, because I have things to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have went when the wind is howling 15, 20 miles an hour. You get up in the tree in a climber and you're on a roller coaster ride, which sucks. But though I've had days where it's been like that, and that's been one of the days I've seen the most deer in a sit.
But where at?
Oh, and I know where you're going. Go ahead and finish.
Jefferson.
No, he's saying where at in the woods.
What are you hunting?
You hunting fringe, you hunting in the woods, you hunting out in a fence row that's out in the open. Because I think that makes a difference.
I would hunt. I was in the north part of that woods.
Okay.
And it would depend if it was on the east side or the west, because I have a few hunts where it was that windy and I was either on the west side or I was on the east side. But a lot of times that west wind would be your most prominent windy day. So a lot of more times than not, I'd be on the east side. But
so you're sheltering where your stand placement is based on the wind. You're getting as far away from the wind on a windy day as you can.
I just do that because I want everything in the woods to be upwind of me. I don't do it for getting away from the wind. I don't care about the wind. Like if I have to sway in a tree, I will. But I do it because I'm like, well, if one comes up this fence row on my east side, so be it, whatever. But if anything's moving in the woods, I don't want it to even have a chance at my scent. Mm-hmm. And another reason why I like going when it's windy is because it does break up your scent a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay, so doesn't affect it.
Nope.
Just keep going. What about you?
Absolutely.
Keep going. Doesn't affect it, or no, it does
affect it.
Okay, why do you think that?
Because
why are you wrong?
Why am I wrong?
That's right. Go ahead.
Why am I wrong?
Explain yourself.
Why are you wrong, Jamie?
Because they're so driven by their senses.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks up scent. It's hard to hear. And it disorients them. They are so keen because they're prey that if they're not comfortable, it makes them feel nervous. They will move, but they will move close to bedding areas. They will not travel the way that they would on a better day, I guess is the word that you could use. Because, yeah, they'll move. And my argument would be, where were they coming from when you were watching them?
Well, you're windier, not very many times do we have morning. Like if it's a morning and I see and it's 25 mile an hour winds, I don't go because it typically means rain. I'm not going to go sit in a rainstorm. When I go sit in the windy days, it's the afternoon. So I would sit over fields that
we get a lot of windy days, seems like anymore.
Well, more times than not, when I would go sit on those real windy days, I would sit near food because they'd be coming from beds.
I know. But they're coming from beds and they're not straying
whether
too
it's
far
25 miles an hour in the afternoon or 5, I'm still going to sit up there with that kind of wind. I don't care about the mile per hour. I'm going to be sitting there if it's 5 miles an hour, if it's 25.
And I think part of that
so I'm going to be seeing deer either way because I'm just that good of a hunter.
Oh, Jesus. I think part of it is that property. That property that we're able to hunt up there is not overly thick. It's very open. Whereas if you got into the thicket in Franklin, I think you'd see significantly more movement in that thicket than you would up there, just because you can see so much farther.
Well, that would be something that would come with time, though, because that year that he killed Vader, we had 2 other mature deer that were wiped out in that area, and we've been building back since.
I was just using it as an example.
No, but
not
I know,
just that property. Just saying, if you can get into... I'm just saying,
I wasn't as driven outside of October for Tallboy. I wasn't as driven to be in there as I was at the other spot because of how much we had around.
I understand.
I don't have as much experience.
What I'm saying is those thick spots, those thick bedding areas, they will stick as close to that when it's that windy, those 25 mile an hour, 30 mile an hour days, because they're safe. They feel safe. They'll move a little bit, but they're not going to move the way that we would want them to if it was just a better day. Now, he keeps bouncing back and forth like it's a tennis match, and he's going to tell me the data doesn't back it up.
No. I'm just saying from experience, I don't hunt that property when it's windy as much as I do the other one, just because of time of year.
Those are the days that I've seen, like Seek One and some of these other, big time hunters. Those are the ones where they're like bedroom. Your scent's broke up. They're going to move more.
That's where I'm at. I don't think that they use the same range on a windy day. I do think that you can sit on a field edge and see some. I don't think you're going to see the target deer that you're looking for there. But I always thought, and this is a change, and this is becoming a recurring theme, is over the last few years, my mindset has changed, and my mindset has changed on this. I always wanted a still, calm, cool no. No. That's the worst. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can hear, which I'm getting deaf, so I really can't even hear. That's the worst. Give me a wind. Give me a 15 mile an hour wind. Give me a 20 mile an hour wind. If I can stay in the tree and not fall out, give me that wind, because here's the thing. They may not move in the open as much. They may move more close to their bedding areas, but I can get closer to their bedding areas then. I can get on that downwind side and get closer to the bedroom and not have to worry about that wind swirling. And that's bitten me in the rear end more times than I think anything else. And I think that goes back to I like a nice calm, light wind. No, a light and variable wind is the worst thing
because it's very manipulative. I mean, it can
change.
hit something and then it can just turn back around.
Okay, I can look at the forecast. Okay, the wind is out of the northwest at 4 miles an hour, and then I go in, and that wind, as we were talking about, and you alluded to this, one of the things that I've learned and really has helped is wind moves like water. If it's 4 miles an hour, it's washing down that edge of the woods. It may be out of the northwest, but if you are hunting the west edge of a woods, it's going north to south. Okay. And that is a major problem with a small, calm wind. You get a howling wind, it's going to break that scent up. You're going to know where it's coming. It's not going to wash back or swirl on you. It's going to move all the limbs around you, the leaves around you. So you're not going to have to be quite as, you can't pick your hand up because they're going to spot it at 200 yards because everything's moving. Absolutely. Give me a windy day, but give me a windy day in the bedroom, because they're not going to move as far, but they're still going to move. They have to eat. They have to drink. If it is during the rut, they're going to be looking for the does, but they're going to be looking for the does where they're not out in the open so that they can trust their senses all day long. Yep. Absolutely. Put it right. That's the day that you go into the bedroom. That's the day that you get as close to that bedding area that you leave alone on that downwind side or upwind side so it's blowing out of there. That's the day that you can kill a big buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
And I mean, you can.
So yes, no, and depends on the weather.
Well, I'm not what was the question?
No, you or no, buddy.
Does deer move when it's windy? And you said they do, just not as far.
So what is that? A yes or no? Tell us.
Well, yeah,
I think it's a depends.
Yeah,
you're like me. It's a depends,
because
they move, but not maybe as far.
Yeah, you're going to see.
Well, I feel like we benefit from a windy day more than they do, which could possibly mean like they would move less. But I look at it as a window of opportunity, because the wind's going to make more noise. You were always going to be as quiet as possible, but it's going to make up for that error.
It's a great cover.
Yeah. But the only thing is you have to make sure that you have the ability to get to that dressing room. Those days, and I know there were 4 or 5 extremely windy days you hunted on that north side. You got one shot out of one of those days, right? Okay. Not picking, just you got one shot. But it was because of does. It was not because of natural movement. So you are going to have a heck of a harder time killing a deer in that specific woods with a high wind than you're going to at other places. Because I hunted when it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds that day, about knocked me out of the stand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, tried to take a pee, thought it was good, kind of let go of the tree.
That was your first mistake.
Go to do the business, and then suddenly the tree goes forward at like a 45-degree angle. I about peed all over myself and fell out of the stand. The deer that I saw that night, and there were deer, but they hung close to the edge, or they ran straight across the middle of the field in a beeline to make sure they could get there fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like that's not going to help in a bow. Now in a shotgun, yeah, I could probably kill a couple of them, but we predominantly bow hunt, and that property up there is not good for a major wind. Whereas I would argue Franklin could be. If there's something there that we wanted to get in on, buddy, we could get in there and get it done on a high wind day. So they're going to move. It just depends on where and how they're going to move. They're going to do it as fast as possible to make sure that they're okay because they're prey. They're running for their lives.
Okay. Thoughts? Do you dispute any of that? I don't. I think they move. I don't think they move as far. Depending on your property, yeah. If you've got a bedding area, you've got a buck bedding area, get on it.
I'll say this. You went to that buck I missed this year. Yeah, he came out with does, but the does went into the woods I was in. He went east. He didn't stay with them. He came out with them, but he didn't care that they went into the woods.
That was after you.
Well, that was after you missed.
No.
I ain't going in there.
No,
I ain't going in there.
Go the other way too.
Ladies, you are crazy.
I was here. Does came into the west, and they were already
Horny, but
in
I'm
the.
not that horny.
He was next week.
They were already in the woods when he decided he was going to take that edge and go east, and that's how I got the shot. If he would have came into the woods with him, I wouldn't have got the shot.
Okay, but so he checked them, figured out they weren't hot,
He didn't
and
check
was
them.
like,
It was
"I'm going to go."
No, it was a northwest wind. He never checked them. The wind was coming to me.
He never got downwind of them.
He never got downwind
That's
of
true,
him. He
yeah.
just went down the edge. He came out with them down that fence row and just went. And he went east. They went south.
Yeah, but
southwest.
a hot doe will spray stuff on the ground. And
he was trailing them.
yeah,
It still blows my mind that I did not know he was in the back of that video.
no, it's a heck of a video.
Yeah.
Now
because you're looking at that little
like an
buck
Easter
and you're looking
egg.
at those
I
and then,
didn't-
oh, look back there.
I didn't know he was in it either until I was already heartbroken and at home, and I went back and looked at the video the 8, and next thing you know, the bigger 8's in the background, and I'm like, oh wow, well I would have known that.
All right. Next topic. Deer can't see color. You're up.
yeah, they can see some sorts of color.
They can see color, they just can't see it like us.
Yeah, they don't perceive light the same way that we do.
No.
Just like my dog. My dog will find the bluest thing
Which-
you've ever seen in your life. They can see blue and yellow.
Which-
and his favorite things to eat are blue and yellow. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. They see similar to a dog. Do they
I don't
not?
know.
They see ultraviolet. They see blues very well.
That's I don't know that. All I know is what I have read more about camo patterns.
Don't get into camo. Camo patterns is the next question. We're just talking colors
that can
right
kind
now.
of correlate. Yes, they can see colors. They're not black and
All right,
white.
how about this? Can they see orange?
No.
If it absorbs, it'll shine like neon.
I mean, I don't know. Ask a deer.
So
I mean, we'll never
One
know
thing-
exactly what they see because we can't interview a freaking deer.
I dove down the rabbit hole on this because I bought stealth strips for my new XOP. And there was a cheaper option. The stealth strips weren't bad, like $16 to cover my sticks, and then I'd need more to cover my stand. But the cheaper stuff, I was like, okay, I like that. I like the pattern. And I read the reviews, and they're like, look at it under a UV light. And they showed it on a tree, and it lit up like Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And they were like, look, I'm telling you, don't just buy the name brand because it's the name brand, but look at stealth strips versus this product. And I was like, oh, sweet God. Mm-hmm. That's like a flashlight. And I'm like, well, why would... So if a stealth strip, that little piece of tape, can absorb that much light, the different things that we bring into a woods will absorb that light. And we talked last night, scent killer, they'll put on the kills UV. You know, you're not going to kill it all, but can you minimize it? So do I know, can they see color? Yeah, they can see something, but they're going to see that UV way more and quicker than any sort of blaze orange. I promise you they don't see blaze orange. I've been on the ground within 20 yards. Okay.
My biggest buck I killed with blaze orange on at 12 yards.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, they might see that it's not broke up. It might be a blob, but it's not like it's like, oh my God, it's a hunter. Like, no, it's not.
The only time they know
season.
that is whenever you two are opening your fudge rolls.
Whoa. Whoa.
Hey, if Leroy did it, I'm going to do it.
Hey, he had lived through a whole lifetime. He gets to do what he wants.
I will eat my ding dong in peace.
Yeah, I can hear the ding dong across the woods.
Back up.
Yeah.
I never want to hear that come out of your mouth again.
So can deer see color or not?
I will eat my ding dong in peace.
I said what I said.
I bet you will.
I said what I said.
All right. Ultraviolet. Absolutely. But, okay, I'm going to say this. There are a lot of really good hunters, really good bow hunters that have worn plaid and blue jeans and killed a lot of deer.
Well, that's where the wind comes in. And I think that's your biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to be able to see some things. Okay, plaid's still broken up. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to say, well, Jim Bob killed this in 79.
But if we're talking about blue and ultraviolet, blue reflects ultraviolet rays better than just about anything. I mean, I've been in the woods many times in blue jeans and had deer within, 30, 40 yards of me.
Yeah, but not like that.
It's true.
So,
but there are guys that have killed those deer in plaid and blue jeans.
No, I agree. Hey, no pun intended, the older generation can get it done.
Yeah.
But I think that there's more to it than just the clothes you wear too. Mm-hmm. That's being that's being disgenuous here.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now we talk. I paused you on this. Pause. Is camo more important than movement? Jamie.
I'm going to go, yeah.
Oh! Tell me why you're wrong.
So,
as in camo is more important than movement?
If you can blend in better, you can get away with more. And the reason I'm going to say this, okay?
I'm going to let you die on this hill.
I'll die on it, okay? Someone's going to die on it. You see how I switch that up on you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, growing up, I was not allowed to move in a tree stand. I still moved, which is part of the reason why E does not come with us.
Because when he was young, he was wider than the tree, typically.
Not the ones that Papa hunted.
True.
Those were big trees.
Yeah, true.
Those were big trees. Okay. I wasn't really... You had to turn your head like this.
When I hear leaves, now I do this.
I missed it.
He slung his headphones off.
Where?
So fast.
Yes. Okay. I was told, wear a mask. They can see it. I was told, brush your teeth. They can smell it. Probably because my breath stunk. Okay.
Smell like ding dongs.
Pause. Okay. I am more free moving now than I have ever been. He'd kill me if he saw me.
Me too.
And
what would Leroy say?
Oh, he'd tell me I wouldn't be able to go. But I have not seen a difference, but I have made sure that, and I don't know if the camo has to match or anything like that, but I am pretty particular with my patterns. I want to make sure I look like what we look like. Some of the camo's great. Your Desert Storm camo does not match October in Illinois. Okay. So, yes, I do believe...
I didn't get it for October.
Yours is fine. That's not what I was meaning.
Oh.
Is it desert?
It is desert.
Oh, I'm
he has some
sorry.
desert,
I
yeah.
didn't mean that towards you.
Later
One of them.
season.
One of
Later
them.
season.
Yeah, it would.
It's late November.
I told you
to
your
December.
stuff was good when we were shed hunting. It was legit. You're gonna. I understand. It doesn't matter. I move more now than I ever have. Free moving. Don't care. And I have not been burnt yet. And I say that. Nope. I have said it multiple times because I feel as though if you look normal to them, you're going to look normal. I don't wear a mask anymore. I wear face paint. I have a big beard. I use it to my advantage. I hate masks, but it breaks
I
up
hate
your
it too.
face.
When you move, that fabric against your skin,
Yeah,
you
it's
hear
awful.
it. I mean, it
You know,
takes
I-
away from your hearing.
I wear a turtleneck. I cover everything. I put my hands in my pockets because I don't like to wear gloves or in my hand warmer. But I'll stand up. I've had deer within 20 yards, and I'll stand up. Does not bother me. Now, I'm not gonna like jerk up and but I hunted out of a saddle. You move constantly in a saddle. You have to. If you want to look, you really need to move. And that's when I started paying attention to it. And I have been picked out less in a tree, going back to the middle stand in Jefferson County, the one that he hates.
It's open.
I've had them come right at me and no problems. I've stood up to get a better angle in case I needed to. Never had a problem.
All right, so you're on the camo. Camo more important than movement.
Camo more important than movement.
You too?
Yes, because I read a lot. If it's not detailed enough, you're a blob because it doesn't have any detail to it. If you're too detailed, you're a blob. I wanted to find camo that was kind of middle of the road where it had detail to it, but it wasn't over the edge, and that's the reason why I have King's camo, because I like the way it is. Now the desert kind that I wear is a little bit more detailed than I'd like, but
I was talking like digi camo to give you an idea.
oh no,
Yeah.
I don't like digicamo. It's too.
I know none of us do. I was just saying,
But
you
I
use
also-
Kings.
I feel
I
like-
use Real Tree.
I feel like there's real tree that is too detailed.
I agree. And it definitely depends on what time of the year it is. When
Yeah.
I used to use APX, no, not APX. What was it? Was it just AP?
AP.
AP. We went turkey hunting. We were within 50 yards. I disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
but that was in the spring. Pawpaw used to wear AP some outside the ghillie suit. You could pick him out of a tree. I prefer the APX that they're running right now. It's a little bit darker. Looks more like a wood during wood. What do you got?
How much woodchuck of woodchuck wood?
No,
Okay,
he
it
didn't
looks
get
like a tree.
Ooh.
What do you say?
I said he didn't get it. He didn't get the quote from
Oh.
open season.
What do you got?
The wood.
What do you got?
Wood.
You want to trade?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. I've noticed that I'm with you. I don't like Kings. I think it's more expensive than I want to pay, and that's the only reason why.
It is, but it's not the most expensive.
But I will sit.
Sitka.
Oh no.
No, it's not.
We're gonna loot.
But I sit in Walmart. I buy secondhand Under Armour and Walmart, Real Tree. And
Hunting on a budget.
yeah,
Ooh, that's a topic.
yeah, that is a good topic. Since I've started doing that, I have been more free in a tree than I was before. Call me Eminem.
More free in a tree.
I'm spitting rhymes over here. Now, I would love to hear your nonsense answer.
Wow. Nonsense answer.
Considering you wear all my hand-me-downs.
I have my own camo now. Thank you very much.
This man is 53 years old, right? 53?
no
50
Sorry, he's
He'll-
almost 53 years old, and he just bought his first set of camo clothing
That
in
is
his life.
not true. That is not true. Okay, camo is important.
It's
Less
better-
movement
it's
is importanter.
Better.
Good old SV education.
Yeah.
Camo is important. Blending is important. You can't look like a blob. We were talking about orange. You got to have it broken up, absolutely. But you can get away with a lot if you're not moving. Now, you were talking about moving freely. Yeah, I don't I don't think that you've got to sit for 6 hours or 12 hours like I was talking about earlier, tongue in cheek, barely moving.
Well, that's how we used to hunt.
It is, but if you've got a deer within 50 yards, I don't care what you're wearing. If you're barely moving, you can get away with a lot. Doesn't matter what the camo is.
I like to put my head against the tree if I know they're kind of left or right of me and rotate my head.
Okay, I look down.
But that is the only time. But they've got to be within bow range for me to act that way.
And I'll hit, depending on where they're at, I'll hit this. And I'll put my back against the tree and sit like this because you can't see the eye as well because I love Bob the Head. I lose that game all the time.
Let me finish my thought on the camo, and then we're going to go there. We weren't planning on going there, but we're going to go there. I think camo is important, but I think you can get away with a lot more with less movement. Okay, good camo, more movement. Less movement, camo doesn't matter as much. That's what I believe. Now, here's where we're going that I didn't plan on. Eye contact. No. Is that not crazy? You're with me. Have you ever experienced this?
As in,
do not look at the deer.
No. Yeah.
They can feel it.
Yes.
Yes. I will shut my eyes. I will look down.
I won't do that.
Oh, I will.
I will never shut my eyes.
No, I have. If I've got a doe and a fawn within, 15, 10, they're looking.
I did that
They're
this
bobbing
year.
the head. I will shut my eyes and just stand there and listen. They can sense that eye contact. That is insane to me.
No, and I agree that they can sense it. And I won't look at them. I mean, I will melt into the tree,
look away,
and normally, if I can get them in my peripheral, I will look straight down. I have had too many deer slip up on me for me to close my eyes.
Okay.
It's a control thing.
That's probably a good thing for good advice for me to take because I don't hear well. But I will shut my, especially if they're locked on you. If they're like, what is that in the tree? I will shut my eyes and just listen.
I mean, and it's got to be the right scenario. No, if they're on me, to my right, and they know that something isn't right, and I'm sitting here, but I have, let's say a buck creep up this way to come check. I can't move. I can't do anything until he gets his butt towards me. And then I can move and get something done. But my feeling is if I sit there like this because once you close your eyes, you're going to hear better.
Yes, and that's what I concentrate. When I close my eyes, I concentrate more on my hearing.
The question is it a squirrel? Is it something to come check them? Is it a doe train? I can't live with that.
But the thing is, if that doe is there and you have your eyes open, you know she's there, and the buck does come in and she's hung up on you, what are you going to do anyway? You can't move if a buck rolls in. What are you going to do?
That's what I just said.
But what you said,
I can't do anything, but at least I know it's there. Whereas if I close my eyes, I'm blind. And that would be terrifying to open my eyes. Okay, they're starting to move off. I open my eyes and I've got 10 seconds to react and get a plan. Whereas if I sit here and I can see, I can go, okay, if he crosses in front of me and gets to this angle, he's going to draw her attention more than I am.
What I'm saying is I feel like it's the same boat. Because if you're sitting here with your eyes shut and he moves in and then you open your eyes and you're like, oh crap, he's there. It's the same point as keeping your eyes open and knowing he's there, but not being able to do anything about it.
No, I can come up with a plan. And that by no means am I saying that's a brag or anything. I could theoretically come up with a plan if I see this happening. It might not pan out, but I can go, as soon as he comes in, she's going to quit paying attention to me. She's going to be focused on him. I'm going to have more free play. And once he gets just past is probably when I could do something. If he's behind me, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can do. But can I keep this 180 degrees in front of me in my control without spooking her? 9 times out of 10, probably not. But I have yet to be busted doing this.
The doe I got this year, I won Bob the Head.
It's impressive.
And then she paid for her
Bob
life.
the Head's the worst game ever. Okay, we're getting low on time. I've got a couple of topics that I still want to discuss, and then we're going to go with a lightning round. Okay, the next one that I want to talk about though is scent elimination. Okay, can you eliminate scent, or can you really not get around a deer's nose? I'm going to start this one.
Okay. Go
Okay.
right ahead, buddy.
I'm going to throw you a curveball. Can't get around a deer's nose. I grew up. Dad was a scent stickler. Leroy was a scent stickler. He had the bag. I mean, I've brushed my teeth with
Dirt.
no, with
Doe
what is
urine.
it called? No,
Estrus is the word.
no, it's not estrus. With what do you put on cuts?
Neosporin?
No,
That's
not
what you
rubbing alcohol.
Band-Aid?
peroxide.
Peroxide. I have brushed my teeth with hydrogen peroxide.
Me too.
Because it's supposed to kill the germs.
Not the same
It's
thing.
the nastiest stuff ever. But that's supposed to kill the bad breath germs, okay? I have gone without coffee on morning hunts.
No.
Because
I don't
you
care.
can smell the coffee.
I'll smell like a cherry
Okay?
limeade rainbow.
I have used
sherbet.
scent killer detergent, scent killer body wash, scent killer deodorant, scent killer spray. None of it matters as much as where you set up.
You can only mitigate it.
You
You can
can,
only put your-
minimalize it, or
And-
there's things you can do that can take it away, because I'm not gonna sit in a sauna and then go sit out in a tree.
Yeah,
but there's things you can do to minimalize it. But there's always going to be scent that you leave
You
behind.
mean minimize?
Same thing.
No, it's not.
whatever. Either way, it does not matter if you wash your body in scent away, if you spray scent away, if you use unscented deodorant, if you use all these things, use deer herd and a stick on the way in. If it's a 70-degree day, you're going to sweat,
Mhm.
and it's not going to matter. What you've got to be able to do is mitigate it. Can you eliminate as much as possible and then play the wind on top of it
Yes.
to give yourself...
That's the most important part.
Yes.
Of
that's what I mean.
everything that I was taught, I still carry that scent control probably more than any other lesson that Leroy
Mhm.
taught me. You guys know this. I am still a stickler, and it ticks me off when I get scented. But more often than not, it's because I have been careless with where I set up instead
But
of what I have done.
It's also called scent control, not scent eliminator.
Well, no, it's called
Well,
scent elimination.
and to
that's
be
what
fair-
their brands.
Yeah,
To be
say.
fair,
No.
we
To
have...
be fair.
to be fair, ball knowledge. We have not tried an ozonics. I think
I would love to have
I
an
think that
ozonics.
needs to be said. We are straight DIY laundry, spray, things like that. I'd love to try an ozonics. That might change my mind.
That might be my number one wish list, is to try an ozonic system.
You're boring. I got a lot of things that could go on my number
When
one
it
wish
comes
list.
to hunting, that might be my number one. Is I
That's
want
what I
to
was
try
talking
that.
about. What
No,
was he
I
talking about?
do. That's something I've always wanted to try. Is because, okay, is this something that can eliminate or cut down on that human?
I
scent?
think there's two, and not just to say the big boys, but there's too many legitimate hunters that use it for me
For
to
it
go.
to not.
That's just a gimmick.
Okay, but are they getting paid sponsorship dollars
And
to
that's-
say that?
I understand it's possible, but is the reality that Ozonics is paying that many people?
Oh, you're talking about ozonic. I was talking about the whole scent elimination.
No, I'm talking Ozonics.
He said there's so many people out there, like big time hunters,
Yeah.
that use it.
He
was like-
I think I've never used it. It's been too expensive for me to try. I think it would work better than any of the
Anything
scent
we do.
elimination products that are out there. But yet I still buy scent elimination spray, deodorant, body wash, deer herd in a stick. I still do all those things, but I still don't think that is as important as playing that wind and being where you need to be.
Yes. No, I agree with that. But like what I'm saying is, I agree with that because, like I said, you can control scent. I mean, you can go in there stinky, But there's things out there that can help you eliminate that, but not completely. You'll never be able to eliminate your scent completely. It's not going to happen.
No. Nope. And that's where, again, we go back to that wind. I've gotten to where I prefer 15 plus mile an hour wind day.
You do all the scent elimination, but then you add in your wind play to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the best. All right. One other thing that I really want to get into before we do a little bit of a lightning round, okay? Do big bucks bed in the nastiest, thickest cover?
No.
They are.
Why? Why do you think that?
Visualization.
Yep.
Okay.
They're going to be wherever they're safest. Now, if the nastiest, thickest part is the safest, then yeah, sure. Yeah, they'll absolutely get in there and they'll make sure that they're undetectable. But we have seen and we have heard of too many stories of big deer bedding in a thin fence row out in the middle of a wide open field because they can see everything. They've got a travel corridor that's covered. Yeah, I'm not saying by any means that you shouldn't hunt the thick stuff, because you should, but you don't, just because that's the thick spot on your property doesn't mean the biggest deer on your property is going to bed there. You've got they're prey. They are they are constantly scared. So they are going to put themselves in the best position possible to make sure that they're safe. And I'll tell you this, safest place for me, out in the middle of the field after dark. Woods, don't like it. But I can see, even with human eyes, I can see in a field and go, there's nothing out here with me.
All right. So you said no too. Why?
Because I think, especially mature deer, they learn how to bed in certain areas depending on wind. And if they're going to bed, say there's a north wind, they're going to want to look south when they're bedding because the wind is going that way. They don't have the wind. When they bed here and the wind's coming from back here, they can smell, but they can't smell what's coming from there. So I think that they bed with the wind, and wherever they can't smell, they want to be able to see.
That's why you can see beds off gob piles.
Yeah,
that's so cool to me. And we don't get to experience it because we're pretty flat. But watching some of these shed hunting videos I've been watching on TikTok, we had that massive snow, and this guy found as many south side hills to find the beds, and the dude just raked in the gold.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think it's a combination of those two.
But the thing is, on the south side slopes, it's mainly because of
the sun.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with both of you that it doesn't mean the thickest, nastiest stuff is where the big bucks bed. No. One of the biggest bucks I've ever killed, this one here, bedded in a small pond that had 5 yards of cover around that pond in the middle of a field. Okay? Fence rows, drainage ditches, out away from it. Why do you think when a buck locks down with a doe during the lockdown phase of the rut, you see him out in the middle of a field? They can see everything around them. Okay? But I'm going to throw this curveball. Where do we find most of our sheds?
In the thick stuff.
The thick stuff.
Well, and like I said, just because Franklin County does not have really a spot like I was talking about out in the middle of a field or something, that is the safe haven. And that is the safe haven for not just a mature deer. Dang near all the deer go through that thicket. So I feel like it's completely based on the terrain and their core. Yeah, you're going to have deer that bed in the thick stuff. You're going to have deer that figure out they can bed in the fence row and be safe as well. It just depends on where you are.
Okay. All right. Lightning round. We're going to go quick, short. All right.
Sounds like Jaden.
2 minutes is a long time.
I just meant that you were fast
only for
and
certain
short.
things. Okay. Scrapes. Nighttime activity.
Only?
Primarily.
Okay.
Jamie.
No. I know. People will say that, but I've seen them hit them during the day.
Yes.
I will say this. Scrapes along a field edge, nighttime.
Yeah.
Young buck. Scrapes inside woods and
Bedding.
cover, bedding areas, doesn't matter. 24 hours a day,
Yep.
young and old alike.
I agree with that.
Okay. Bucks roam miles during the rut.
I mean, I feel like yes, because it depends on if they're young and riled up.
Young, dumb, and
But it depends.
full of vigor.
But it depends because Vader spent his time that year we killed him in that 4-acre thicket. He may have ran a mile or two that day, but it was in a 4-acre core.
Okay. James.
Yes. And it depends on the deer.
All
I
right,
understand
all right.
what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I think
Vader,
it
absolutely.
I think it depends. It's a deer by deer
most, yes.
personality.
But
yes.
not always.
Explain why you think that.
That deer changed my mind.
Yep.
Because this deer was killed roughly 5 miles away from where we hunted his son. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't know it at the time. But the genetics were way too close for it not to be the same deer.
Undeniable that deer had an offspring that was killed several miles away.
Yeah, I think when we tracked it as the bird flies 5 miles.
Yeah.
And, that really opened my eyes. And the morning that you killed him, you watched him for a long time come across that field.
Well,
And
40
there wasn't really a ton for him to.
The direction he came from, it was from the time I saw him was another 600 to 800 yards to the nearest cover.
And not just
So
the freak.
he came at least half mile, 3/4 of a mile across an open field.
The 195 that bedded behind my house
Mhm.
was killed in the bottoms. That's about 3 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it totally depends on the deer. Yeah. Vader stayed close to home. He ran that area. He was the dominant buck in that area. The freak moved. I don't have a name for the other one. He's just
a big.
yeah.
buck.
I mean, we have a name
He's
for him, but I
just a
don't
big
necessarily
deer.
want to drop
The
guy.
192.
Yeah.
We'll just say the cold buck.
The cold
That's
buck.
all right.
Okay. The cold buck
He knows who he is.
covered a lot of ground, and it just strictly depends on that deer.
Yeah, I agree. All right, next thing. Hunting pressure always kills mature buck movement.
If you pressure, if he busts you, yes.
No.
Why?
You
Real
can
quick.
You could bust a deer at least twice before it comes back.
I busted Nasty 30 yards away from his
We
bed.
never saw him
never
again.
saw him.
I say yes.
again.
And again, I think it depends upon the deer's personality.
Yeah.
But overall, mature bucks do not tolerate
Especially
pressure.
if you do bump them from a bed. If you bump them from that bed, they probably won't come back to it.
And when I say that, no, don't go tromping through, don't go reckless. But if it happens and you handle it the correct way, leave it be for a little bit, and I think you'll be fine. Nasty is the only deer that I am aware of with us that we blew off one time.
I agree. Usually you get a pass. You might not get
pass.
2, but you might get.
That's
you
why-
usually get 1.
That's why Loki was such a big deal. You missed,
and we got a third
we got
shot.
a third.
I just know the difference in that was he was bedded 30 yards away from me.
But I think he is the exception to the rule. I really do, and I understand why you feel that way. It was
Well, it
one
was
of the
the only
best
time.
bucks we ever hunted. One shot, we messed up, never saw that deer again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there are others that are like that, and there are probably others that we don't even know about
yeah.
that we've blown out and we didn't even realize it. Okay, couple more. Decoys don't work on mature bucks.
Nope. Or, I mean, they do. Sorry. I disagree that they don't, so they do work on
Okay.
mature
Yeah,
bucks.
they work.
I think they work. I've only used decoys 3 times in my life. Twice, they've been shot off the road.
And we're talking like it was supposed to represent 130-inch 8. That's weak.
1 rifle, 1 shotgun. We still have a hole in the flank of the decoy. 3 times, 2 shots,
Different places.
different places.
We don't have a ton of experience with decoys. He's used them
And-
more than anyone.
I know who both of them are.
Dun, dun,
Just saying. Just saying. Okay? And the last thing. You don't need to be in shape to kill big bucks.
No.
I have a saying, and I'm not going to say it. No, you don't have to be in shape.
Hey, look at this guy.
You've got I mean,
that's what I was going to say.
I would say
I am proof that you do not have to be in shape to kill big bucks.
I would say there are people out there that only hunt blinds off the ground that kill good deer.
Well,
but I would say if you are in good enough shape to climb a tree, you better, because I feel like being off the ground is better than not.
Well, and here's the thing. We are blessed to be able to hunt permission properties. We don't have to walk a ton. I'm not big on being a minimalist hunter. The stands that weigh 4 pounds, no way. But if you have to rely on public ground and you have to put in maybe literally hundreds of miles, you're going to be in good shape. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, so yeah, sometimes maybe, but it depends on where you have to hunt. Because me and you, we ain't in shape.
Well, that's not even talking about your West hunters that hunt elk.
That's what I was going to say.
Those guys
it depends.
Shout out Marcus Norris.
In certain circumstances, you don't need to be. I'm proof of that. I kill good bucks. I am not in shape. But if you're a public land hunter, yes. There are places where you've walked out with me a half mile with a climbing, stand on my back where I'm huffing and puffing. Yes, I mean, that's not an exaggeration. Yeah, it matters. And if you're going out west and you're elk hunting or you're muley hunting, yeah, you better be in really good shape to do that.
And people train for it.
Train a long time to do it. And that would be an amazing hunt.
Bucket list.
Bucket list. I could not do that. Okay. Well, after an hour of arguing, we've officially solved deer hunting, right?
Yep. We know everything.
We solve all the world's problems.
Moon doesn't matter until it does. Pressure doesn't matter.
Depends on the
until it does.
Until it does. That's right. Wind matters
all the time.
But sometimes it doesn't. Basically, it depends. Here's what we really learned tonight, okay? We have all believed things that weren't entirely true. We've all changed the way that we think about things as we get more experience. But if you strip it all down, you hunt the wind. You don't move. You pay attention. And you stop looking for excuses. If you still don't see the deer, call Jamie. He'll explain the October lull to you
like a madman
in about 45 minutes. Or you can ask Drayden and he'll tell you about gravity again. We appreciate you guys listening. A whole bunch of BS tonight, but that's what we know. And those are the experiences that we have had. If you enjoyed the episode, we ask you to share it, like it, comment on it. We'd love to spread the gospel to more people, even if it's completely wrong, which it probably is. Because this is OSNG. We're old school, next generation. This is Jaden. This is Jamie. I'm Clark. Thanks for listening tonight. We'll see you next week.